In the second tab, we're going to create a bar chart. Just like a pie chart, you have to create a summary chart in order to create a bar chart. One way to create a summary chart is using functions. Another is using a pivot table. So you can see that in this example, we're going to create a pivot table. So we're going to have all the different houses listed and then their total screen time from seasons 1 through 7. If we were using functions, we could use the sumIfs function. However, we can also create the same table using a pivot table. First, we're going to want to compute the total screen time. That's just going to be a simple sum function. I'm going to select seasons 1 through 7, and then we can copy the function down. Now we can create a pivot table. So I'm going to click inside the data set. I'm going to go to Insert, Pivot Table. First, I'm going to verify that the data set was correctly selected, highlighted, yes. And now I'm going to tell Excel where I want it to place the pivot table. And I'm going to place it right here. And then I'm going to hit OK. All right, you can see that in the rows, we have the house. I always start with the rows first. That's usually the easiest variable to identify. And then you can see that the values in the pivot table is total screen time. So we're going to want to put total screen time. All right, now we just want to do basic formatting. And edit the labels. All right, you can see that the header is being cut off. If you put your cursor between columns G and H, you can double click, and then what it'll do is it'll auto-fit to the contents. All right, now we have our summary table completed. And again, a pivot table was one way to create the summary table. We could have also created it using the sumIfs function. All right, so I'm going to select the categories and their total screen time. And then I am going to insert a bar chart. Put it over here. Actually, I'm going to bring mine over here just so we can see both of them. It's easier to edit. Okay, so we want to edit the chart title. Okay. When you create a chart based off of a pivot table, it gives these little buttons. These are called field buttons. I think they stick out, so I like to hide mine. So if you right click on them, you can go to hide all field buttons on the chart. We can also get rid of this legend. We don't need this legend. Each house is clearly labeled. The one thing we want to do is we want to have different colors for each of the bars. So typically when you have a bar chart, you give different colors to each bar. If you double click on the bars, you can go over here and you can go to fill, and then you can vary colors by point. So that gives each category a different color. All right, the last thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add axis titles. So we want to add the screen times in minutes. So we can go to on this, go to design, add chart element. I want to add the horizontal axis title. And then as soon as I hit this, I'm going to hit equals. So don't click on anything else. As soon as you click this, hit equal, and then I'm going to click on the name. And that's one way that you can easily enter an axis or a chart title. The big thing is you have to immediately hit equal. If you click on something else, then you can't go back in and hit equal. So as soon as you insert it, hit equal and then click on the label. All right, so that looks pretty good. So that's it for our bar chart.